everyone, Chase here. Decided to do a video comparing a couple of different hunting blinds. I was looking on YouTube and trying to decide on some new hunting blinds this year. I'm just got into deer hunting about maybe 3 years ago. So I have a blind that I set on some property. And the current blind I've got, Game Winner, I'm borrowing it from my father-in-law. Really great blind. Just want to get kind of more into bow this year, so try to see a little bit of what that's all about. But I'm 6'6", and it's one of those things to where a smaller blind on the 58, 59 inch wide kind of area is a little bit small for me. So especially trying to stretch out, I might hit the sides and spook things, and I've had deer come all the way up within 5 yards of my blind. In fact, actually probably closer. So I kind of really want to see if I can get something bigger to, maybe a little bit better mesh concealment, to basically, have a little bit better success this year, hopefully get a bigger buck. But anyway, I was looking around for videos on YouTube, just researching, and I came across Barronett blinds and some Tidewes, and definitely different price points there. One's more heavy duty, bigger blinds, and then the Tidewe is kind of more like what I currently have, but definitely a lot more visibility. So I really didn't see a good comparison video, especially a couple out there with the Barronets. So I decided, hey, I'm just gonna see what these blinds are all about. I've got a few of them here I'm gonna try out today and set up in the yard. And I thought, hey, there's got to be people out there like me that kind of want to see that comparison. So I decided, hey, I've never loaded a video to YouTube before, so there's not going to be much editing to this. This is just raw me. I'm just going to set these up in the yard, and I'm going to kind of, show a video or section of me setting up each one to see how difficult it is. Hopefully there's not too many laughs with it, but so far from what I've heard, the Barronets are pretty easy to set up. So I'll also might pull out my old hunting blind just to see a comparison so everybody can kind of see them side by side. I kind of went with a couple of models that I think from the Barronets that might do well, and I'll show you those real quick. But basically, I'm showing here, we've got the Barronet High 5, and this one's going to basically be the one-way fabric, pretty big, about 76 inches tall in the center. That'd be nice to be able to stand up in the middle of these longer hunts. But I also have the Pentagon heavy duty Barronett blind. So, it's got not the one-way, but it's got the shoot-through mesh. So that's a little bit cheaper. So I think this one on Amazon was about $275. The one-way fabric High 5 was, I believe, somewhere around $408 shipped. So, we'll see. The Tidewe was somewhere around, I think, $150. But anyway, I'll get started and we can see what these blinds are all about. Before I unbox every single one of these, I kind of want to show you what, the boxes they come in, so you can see some of the models here we're comparing. But, pretty big blinds. This is a heavy, these are probably anywhere from 20 to 30 pounds. This one is definitely a monster. My wife pulled it in from the front porch last night, was delivered. So she's 5'2", so this is definitely a kind of a little bit of a struggle for her, but we'll get these out and look at them. All right, guys, we're gonna start setting up these blinds. I'm gonna start with the Tidewe, since it's the smaller blind and the other two are Barronett. So it comes in a really nice kind of, full string bag, kind of like your typical blind, especially a little bit on the cheaper end of around the $100, $150. The Barronets, you'll see they have some pretty hardcore bags. But all right, we'll get to setting this up. super simple. Looks like it comes with some stakes. These probably just, you know, cheap metal stakes. Yeah, kind of just cheap rod stakes. You know, if you want to anchor down, you know, maybe more towards an open field, you know, maybe you might want to get a little bit of more, you know, robust stakes to be able to make sure it doesn't fly off anywhere. All right, we're gonna do a walk around. As you can see, you really can't see through there, and you know, even, you know, trying to sit here and get a little bit of shadowing on the inside, or seeing if we can see any light through this. I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with that. This is the version of the Tidewe where it's not the 270 view, that's the full sides. I actually wanted to look at something that was a little bit had a little bit more of a blackout effect, because I get a little worried, especially with movement and the way my blind is generally set up in the woods, and the sun comes up. I don't want the possibility of, you know, not being completely, you know, invisible to the deer, and possibly light shining through the other side and getting a little bit of ghosting effect and shadowing to where they could see some movement. I was worried about that, so I kind of, this blind actually, you will see when we go inside, it has the bottom portion that's blacked out, so you just have the one-way mesh here midway up, and it actually looks like this came, well, no, it's just some thread. So, but it was super easy to set up. I mean, it definitely was quicker than my game winner. Also on this side this is all see-through mesh here, one-way mesh, and has the shooting ports on each side here. I actually am seeing, and I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but I do have the door open back there, and you can see a little bit of light pass through there if you've got a really bright background. So anyway, we'll take a look when we're in there, but this has a little bit more of a shade effect here where I'm standing next to some trees, so this kind of shows you, oh, you can actually see that really well. So you can see, you know, it's not bad if as long as, you know, you have some dark clothing on, I would think, and as long as you've got the door closed. I'm not seeing, especially with the one-way mesh on that side, there's not a whole lot of, you know, I guess what you would say ghosting or shadowing inside there. So it's pretty impressive. You know, has some cool brush loops here to where you can kind of blend it into the background. Anyway, let's go inside here. Now this was cool. Now I have to admit, this version did not have the zipper. It has the magnets. So you can see that this magnet here actually attaches, so you can go down through here. And there's like a little buckle to just kind of keep it. I guess if you want to, when you're in the blind or whenever you're leaving for the evening, you can easily, you know, attach. A little bit of a stretch, but anyway, you can easily just stretch this down and get that to attach. So that's kind of cool, kind of quiet. We all like to go into the woods quiet, so this is like my current blind setup actually. You know, it's 59, I believe, by 59, so really cool. So you can see, you know, you have good visibility. You know, I have to admit, has these nice sliders here, so you can easily slide up and down. This is something that's very unique, I think, to this blind in particular, was these sliders that I really liked. I mean, because how many of us get in this blind, they want to be completely exposed until that moment to where they can just, you know, slightly move down and get that open view and take their shot. I'm one of those guys to where I like to lean back from these windows and stay really hidden, kind of like, you know, way back here in the back. And you know, really kind of blending in. I don't like to get really right up to the screen. So, you know, this is, as you can tell, you know, this has got that nice blackout on the bottom. I mean, I don't need visibility through there. I mean, yeah, it's going to shed some more light in here, but I don't need that. I'd rather have my body covered up against this black background back here. I do see the stitching. You know, the stitching's not the best, but that's typical of, you know, a budget blind. I mean, the game winners like that. You know, that's going to be just something people have to factor into what their budget is. You know, it's just all about what you spend and what you pay for. You can see on the ceiling here, you've got a little bit of bleed through on some of these corners, but it's not that bad. I mean, you're gonna have some water leakage through there, but then again, I never stay perfectly dry anyway. So, oh, these are just so cool, man. This is just completely awesome. And just think about that. You got the little view going through there, and you can just really peer out. But this is great because you can just see that subtle movement. And sometimes, I mean, this I have to admit, this is just so great, those little sliders. I don't think these are on the Barronet, and if Barronet's watching this, I mean, that would be an improvement on the next high five maybe, to get these sliders, and that would just be outstanding. I'll see what exactly kind of set they've got, and I'll show y'all really a good close-up, so you can actually see, you know, these little, they don't get caught. I mean, guys, this is a good blind. I mean, you can easily unhook this and bring it down and take your shot. This is kind of where I usually shoot anyway, and at the minute on my other blind, I've shot through the mesh. This, you know, obviously you don't want to shoot through this. This is not replaceable. I do not see where this can disattach. I mean, you can probably stitch, you could probably make do with something, but you're not going to get that one-way mesh. So do not shoot through this unless you plan to, you know, live with the hole or patch it up or replace it. Let's see, you know, you got your little hook exposures here, or hooks, tie downs. This is just really cool. Pretty awesome. All right, we're gonna get out of here and on to the next one. All right, we're on to the next one. Kind of getting hot out here. First day of bow season too, here in Tennessee. So it's too hot for that though right now. Maybe October for me. But anyway, we're gonna do a Pentagon heavy duty. Really comes in this nice bag. I mean, I'll step back here a little bit. So big straps here. This is easily, say 20, 25 pounds. I know the high five is a lot bigger and a lot heavier, but then again, you know, I don't plan on trucking this into public land and setting it up every single time I want to hunt. So my buddy lets me hunt back in his property, so I'm very blessed with that. You know, he's been great letting me do that. Anyway, it has these straps to help you lift, and it has actually a buckle here, so you can actually connect it across your chest. And I can practice it real quick for the group here. Again, I'm 6'6", so just take that into consideration. So, you know, it's I feel like I'm wearing a rack backpack. It's crazy. But, you know, hey, it's only twice a year, right? In and then taking it out. Unless you're Rambo and you want to take it all year long back and forth in the truck. But it has a nice pocket here. It looks like to fit something, maybe the chair. But we're gonna set this out and get this setting it up. Forgot to mention here, it looks like there's a section on the side of the bag that actually has the stakes in it, so that's cool. Doesn't have to go in there and possibly puncture something. Just so everybody can see it. Nice heavy duty stakes. They have like a little spiral to the end. Grip a little bit better into the ground. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. That was simple. Guys, that was super simple. Kind of really impressed with how simple that was. This is in the Crater Core color. I think they have another color that's Thrive. But this one was cheaper, so I ordered it to get here quicker. But we'll take a look at it. But this kind of blends in, I would say, a little bit better, especially in that late season, I would think. But you know, the Thrive, the other color has more greenish and darker browns and light browns, to where I think, you know, early spring and early fall bow season, that you're really going to get that. You still have a lot of things, vegetation that's alive. I think you're going to get some good blending there, but you can easily, you know, I always put some cover around the blind just to kind of break up the silhouette and just not stand out quite so much. But anyway, let's get to looking at this thing. So I've got a couple windows slightly open on the inside. Mesh does pretty good. Concealing stuff. I have to admit, this is pretty impressed with that. Again, I think this was on Amazon for about $275. I had it shipped here for, I don't know, it came out right under, you know, $290 or so. But we'll just walk around here, and this is, I have not opened anything on the back side, so, well, there's also, it's a black wall. There's only a small window back there, but anyway, they have some nice little ports here for you to shoot, you know, your arrow or your gun through, and that's good for me. I like to rifle hunt out of mine when it hits November, so having a nice area. It's kind of funny. This is exactly the area that I've blown out of my other blind, so the fact that it's already there, I'm happy. But I'm really digging the pattern. I mean, it just really it can really span a lot of different seasons. I mean, it really fits in well to definitely fall. Spring, you know, I can see it blending in. There's some greens to it, but heavy duty, look at these corners. When they say heavy duty, I mean, they really mean it. I mean, it is like a canvas stitching, looks really, really nice. There's some random threads here. Don't pay attention to these. It looks like it just from the factory. But I will say, guys, gals, whenever you get this, I would set it up in your yard and let it sit out for a few days to air out before you put it where you want to go, or set it out early season. For a little bit early. That's all I'm saying, is it has a smell. So definitely a new production smell. I've seen a couple videos where some people sprayed some of that scent blocker on the canvas just to keep it from, you know, spooking too much game and something new that's in the area. but I don't like being downwind from this, so I'm pretty sure a deer wouldn't. But you know, I smell aside, I mean, this is pretty cool here. You got these strings for your stakes to pull out and, you know, anchor in the sides. This was super simple. As you can see in the video, it was super simple to set up. I mean, I was actually really kind of worried doing it, you know, kind of by myself. I'm kind of clumsy when it comes to things like that, but, you know, as you can see, came together pretty great. You can see through the mesh here. Obviously, if we step back a little bit, you know, it's got some good cover. And that's what I'm talking about here is, you know, that's always what I worry about is, you know, I want to stay back away from, messed up the focus here, back away from the mesh so I don't get caught being silhouetted against the mesh and spook something, because they can see that. So, but if they're coming from the front and you're really blacked out with your clothing, got some gloves on, you know, I think be just fine. We'll open up a few more windows and I'll step back out and we can look at it with a lot more open for people who like to have them open. But what I think is really cool is it's got these flaps on the bottom, so you can easily hold it out to where, you know, it probably helps keep vegetation, but also scent, I would say too. I don't know really. That's what I think it's for. I'd be, if anybody else knows, just comment. That's just what my assumption is. Help block out some of that. But anyway, here's the door, and believe it or not, there's a zipper on each side here. So we'll just unzip, and there was some Velcro that was at the very bottom here that I undid earlier. That keeps, I guess, this door from opening, because this is a cool feature of this door, is it catches. So let's try this out. Boom. That's cool. Guys, that is huge. That is huge. Let's get in here. All right. Stitching looks pretty good. Not seeing a lot of bleed through. I mean, there's a little bit up here, but not too worried about it. I mean, I can definitely see a step up in quality. Kind of on my knees in here just to kind of get a little bit of perspective. Yeah, it's big for sure. This is cool, guys. This is very roomy. I do not feel like, actually my size, I don't feel like it's too big. I'm standing right now, and I mean, I'm ducking my head down, but I can easily get up during a hunt and kind of stretch my back and really stay comfortable. Man, it's hot here. But yeah, this is, guys, this is really roomy. I mean, I can stretch out. I got room for, I guess my bow can, if I was sitting in a chair, I still might have issues not being in the center, just with my size. I mean, if you're in that 5'10" to 6 foot range, that's, or shorter, I mean, you're good to go. But let's open up some of these ones here, and you can take these completely off. So these are just blackout screens, and what's cool is there's no Velcro. There's no Velcro in here. It looks like it is purely toggles, which I have to admit, it's a pain. This is one of these things where you have to be really good with your fingers and, you know, practice to help get these down whenever you need to, or just shoot through the mesh. Truthfully, just shoot through the mesh. I mean, I actually already looked up when I was researching this, These things are replaceable. They're cheap. Just shoot through it. I mean, the only thing is like your scope, you might get a little bit distortion, which I like the gum ports for that, but just shoot through it. I mean, I don't see an issue with it. With broadheads, I've seen mixed reviews online about shooting through mesh with broadheads, but you know, it just all depends on, I guess, the weight, the speed, and I'm not going to get technical specifics because I'm not an expert, but I'll shoot through it. How about that? They're cheap. And we'll pull down this one too in the corner. And they all attach to the same toggle, so you have to watch that. If you're undoing something, just remember, you know, they all have the same toggle, the mesh and the blackout screen. So make sure you're grabbing only the blackout, because I just showed you here a little bit ago, you can actually get both of them, and next thing you know, you're fully exposed and to game. But yeah, this is really nice. Oh, get the breeze going through here. It's hot. All right. This is really great. That's kind of what I would probably do. I kind of like midsection here to be blocked. They've got a nice little window here, so if you hear something going on, I don't like it's a zipper. I do not like that. I mean, who wants... I actually truthfully would have preferred that to be a toggle. This is, to me, I don't like this. I would never use that during my hunt. I would keep it, but I also don't want to open and do it beforehand, because then I might have scent going out, and you can also see through the front, and you can see exposure now silhouette. I don't want to do that. So maybe, hey, Barronett, you know, next design change, maybe add that. Who knows? It does look like we've got we've got some pockets here to store stuff. Any other goodies around here like that? Nope, that's the only one. So there's a pocket on the back. Oh, it looks like there's another shooting window over here. So it looks like that's technically kind of where the front would be for me. So stand over here and let you see that. Okay. So I would sit back here, and I'd probably have a few more windows open, but mainly that side, that, and that. And I would try to lean forward to shoot, or just maybe stay right about here, much here. Really nice. Again, the stitching, it feels, the lining in here feels really great. Looking at the ceiling, stitching wise, I don't see any holes. I mean, this is gonna hold back water, y'all. It's gonna be just a really, seems like a good blind. Might go with this one. We'll see about the other one. The big thing for me is I wanted to get the high 5 in here to be able to look at it as well, because the shoot through mesh, when you're in the heat of the moment and you're shooting game, I mean, I've got a very small window of opportunity to be able to get a deer crossing the property, just with the size, and you know, the mesh, sometimes I'll jump the gun, and my first year I shot through the mesh, and you know, I just wanted, and I have some, if you shoot obviously your firearm closer to the inside of the mesh, you know, you're gonna have some of the you know, flash obviously burn a little bit of holes in your blind, so you want to stick that muzzle obviously out a little bit to be able to get that flash and that, you know, muzzle flash to go outside the blind. And that's what I like about this, is even if I mess up, if I stay high enough, you know, I can replace this. I think, I don't know, I was looking at the like $10 a screen. I mean, and I'll replace maybe 1 or 2 a year if I shoot through it with a, you know, during season with the gun and the bow. So I don't see an issue with that. I like that. So let's go back out again. And obviously you don't have to open up the double door. You can just leave one side, you know, get in and out through one side, and it's kind of actually a little bit nice to just squeeze through that little opening and then just zip it back. I really don't like zippers, but it's the nature of the beast. So anyway, now that we have some of these windows open, let's look through there. Yards out. Pretty nice. I like it. So we'll get on to the next one, the high five. That's our last one. We'll put them all side by side and be able to see what they are all about. So, all right, on to the next one. All right, we're on to the Barronet high five. This is our last one. We're going to compare all three of them together. But same bag as the previous one, pretty heavy duty. It is about, I don't know, 5 to 10 pounds heavier at least. So it's not small. We'll open this thing up, but it looks like it has the same pockets, the same straps. Looks like pretty similar quality to the last one, so pretty great. But we'll this one's actually in, I believe, what they call Crater Thrive. So it's a little bit different mechanical pattern. I actually really like it. It has a lot more green in it. But this also has the one-way see-through mesh, which I'm really interested in seeing compared to the shoot-through mesh on this Pentagon. So anyway, we'll get to unwrapping this thing. Easy. So I'm 6'6". You can see me next to this blind. I've got plenty of room, but that was super simple. I mean, hats off to Barronett. These things are super simple. I'm excited to see this one on the inside. That Thrive is so cool. Almost looks like a military pattern, but anyway, it's you can see the door over here. We'll get in this and see what it's all about. All right, gonna do the walkthrough of the Barronet High 5. You got this nice one-way mesh throughout the whole blind, so you cannot see anything going on in there, especially on the sunny side. The sunny side, as long as the sun's out, you're not going to be able to see much through here. I left this kind of open because I kind of want to see a little flap there, or I'd like a little flap just so I don't, you know, have to be fully exposed to the window open. But I don't know, I'll play with it. But man, I really am digging the camo pattern. But as you can see with this mesh, you can not really, you can't see through it. It's really great. Super simple setup like you saw. There's a zipper over here to be able to use a zipper door. To be able to get inside. And there's also the secondary door that we're going to go through just because that's really cool. And they all seem to have this flap on the very bottom to keep what looks like material and stuff out, or I guess scent, or to trap whatever, to make sure that, you know, nothing's maybe coming inside the blind. Again, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but you can see when it's kind of shady, you can see slightly through it, but movement wise, you really can't. It's going to be very hard to see anything. I think the mesh in this one versus the mesh on the Tidewe is, I mean, it's night and day difference, but we'll see it. But let's go in here. This is like one of the best features on this. So you keep a formed door here. Watch, it stays formed. And this is cool because it has a zipper, but also it has these clips. You don't have to make a lot of noise coming in, but I can fit in this a lot better than I can the zipper. Man, one thing I will say is make sure that you keep these things sitting out for a few days to get some of this stink out. It is just part of the production process, but as you can see, the door can shut here, and you can clip these, you know, obviously shut here, or you can just, you know, truthfully zip it shut. And I'm not too worried about zipping, especially the time I get in the stand. I don't mind making, I try to go really slow, and sometimes I try to put my fingers over the zipper to try to dampen the noise just a little bit. But anyway, got that. And as you can see, the visibility is just great. I mean, even putting this down, just do that. Even putting this down, look at this. And it doesn't stop there. You can, these are just blackout screens. So they did provide blackout screens for the back half, which I've heard some people complain that, hey, they needed more blackout screens, but truthfully, I'm always going to keep this open because I always, like I said in earlier, is I like to stay back here. And you can see that I can undo any of these, and the same material is here. So that's something to where I kind of like, while I don't want to make a lot of noise, but I can at least sit here and keep one of these undone, maybe on the bottom. And if something's going on behind me, I can easily peek through. Difference also is you have all this visibility. You don't have those little whatever holes, those little peepholes that the Pentagon had. It's going to be, I kind of actually really prefer this. The one thing, Barronett, again, if you're watching, is on the next version, maybe can you please put in the slider windows? I mean, the one thing I don't like about this is, for one, it's not shoot through mesh, which I know it's one-way see-through, but it would be great if this at least had sliders and maybe was toggled across the top to where if you shot through it, you can at least replace the panel. That would be cool. But also we need sliders here. I mean, these toggles are just, I mean, you got to take your glove off, or you got to have really thin gloves to really mess with this. I'm going to try to, I mean, I would try to, you know, make something to where I can easily keep this up, and I'll make something to where I'll probably keep, you have a toggle up here, by the way, to be able to lock this in, but I would keep it to where I might be able to have like a paper clip attached to this with a string and hang it down. But that's what I'd do. You got these little pockets on each side here. So, and I believe this is like 76 inches in the center, and I'm 6'6". And guys, I am standing and that thing is hitting the top of my head, but mid-hunt, I can stretch out and I don't have to worry about being seen. This is really great. I'm really digging this blind. Stitching, you know, there's some random spots here. You're not gonna get a blind without some bleed through. You're just not going to. You're gonna see it even the best of blinds, but it's good enough. It is good enough. This is just really great. Really plenty of space here. And to those people really concerned about how big it is. Big is all, you know, each person has their own definition of, you know, what's too bulky, what's, you know, weighs too much, because everybody has different, you know, everybody's 5'1", 5'10", whatever. But this one is not that big. It's really not. Like there's plenty of space, but from the outside it doesn't really, it looks huge when you get in here, but from the outside the camo is so great, you blend very well. So, you know, we're gonna step up here again just to kind of recap this. I mean, this blind is great. It's expensive. Again, it's $400. Sometimes you can find them on sale, and you know, I'm gonna put all these in a line, so we're gonna see them all together and do one last comparison, and I'll shoot a video of me standing next to each one just so y'all can see, and you know, you can see, as long as you this is the one thing, is I'll always have one side blacked out on these. I'll always have one side because I don't want to see that bleed through, because you can actually see a little tiny bit of bleed through here, not much, but that camo pattern kind of really distorts it to where you can get away with it. But anyway, this is a high five. Let's see them all together. All right, everybody, we've set up all three of the blinds, and we've kind of done a good walkthrough of each one to, you know, just kind of get a view of what's inside, the mesh, the pattern, the, you know, overall view of what you would be seeing in a hunting situation. So I have them all sitting up here in a line to kind of just show you the different sizes. And obviously we have the over off here to the side, we have the Barronett Pentagon HD heavy duty in crater core. In the center here we have the High 5 by Barronett. Same exact design, the 5-sided Pentagon side, except this one is basically the one-way see-through technology. It has some more upgraded features. It's the more expensive one. It's got a door, a nice form door. It is slightly taller, as you can see in the picture. I think this one's like 72, and this one is 76 inches tall. Really great. I really like this one. And over here to the far side is the Tidewe. This is 59 by 59, I believe, or 58 by 58. I apologize for not having the dimensions, but I'll have a link down in the description for every single one of these. But anyway, you can see that from a size standpoint, you can see a lot of difference. Just adding that fifth side adds like 70% more space. I was able to draw comfortably in both of these Barronett blinds. The difference is I had some more space between, I had more forgiveness for this one, because I had a little bit more height and I didn't hit the ceiling, whereas I had just right at enough to be able to be careful in this one, to be able to really draw back. And you know, in the mornings when, you know, you're tight and you're, you know, not stretched out fully, you know, it might take that extra tilting up to pull back. And, you know, that's what I worry about in hitting the side. And I can't do that in the Tidewe. And I will not knock the Tidewe. The Tidewe's great. The visibility that you see in that thing, you saw it. It's great. It's an affordable price point. I'd replace it, you know, every 2 years or so. You can't shoot through the mesh, but it's one of those things to where you can't beat it for the price. And if, you know, you can fit in it and you can draw and everything, that's great. I would definitely go with that. If you're on the bigger end like me and you're looking for some extra comfort, and you have the money to spend, definitely I think going with one of these 2 blinds. Me personally, after seeing all 3 of these, you know, the 2 contenders I have, obviously the Barronets, but I'm leaning towards the High 5. Even though the High 5 does not have the shoot-through mesh, the one-way technology, the visibility, the light coming into the blind is amazing. But guys, I'm not knocking the Pentagon. That thing is, this right here is amazing too. I love that that blind. I would keep both of them if I could, but I think this one this High 5 is going to be it. So, but anyway, hey, everybody, you know, the video if you find it helpful. I'm going to leave all the links in the description for each one of these, the 2 Barronets on their site. And I'm going to do the Amazon link for the Tidewe or the one link to their site. But anyway, thanks all for watching. I appreciate this. Is my first YouTube video, so help me get some likes. And I'll try to post some more content as I get gear and give my first-hand account. I'm a newbie hunter, and I'm just trying to, you know, give some insight where I can. See you later.